Brant Shepherd. I am a middle-class board gamer, and it wouldn't be long until I knew my daughter Micaela would want to get in on the act. Now, other than my wife, this is the person who plays the most board games with me. Isn't that right, Micaela?
Yep.
All right. So, so whenever she found out I was doing a channel, she wanted to get on here. And what was the first video you wanted to make?
Top 5 board games.
She wanted to make her top 5 board games of all time. I thought I'd go ahead and make mine as well. So here we go. This is going to be our top 5 board games of all time. We're going to start with number 5. Kicking things off here with my number 5, and that is Nanty Narking by Martin Wallace. Now, I don't think you've played this one, have you?
No.
No, you haven't played this one. That's all right. I played it with some friends from work. For a while, I had a really good group of friends to play board games with at work with. And this is one that we really enjoyed. It's kind of an area control game. You're putting agents out on the map. You're assassinating other people's agents. And everybody has kind of a hidden character. And whoever your hidden character is, that's what determines what your win condition is. So you might have a character where your win condition is to control the most areas. You might have a character where your win condition is to cause the most chaos. You might have a character where your win condition is just to run out the draw deck. And so it's really fun to try to determine what the other people's win condition is and to be in each other's face the whole time because it's a really chaotic kind of in-your-face game.
That sounds very fun. I need to play that game with you sometime.
It is good. It's good. I will say that you have to have 4 players for it, so we'd have to find 2 other people to play with us, but it would be a fun one to show you.
Kicking things off with my number 5, I have Wingspan, which is a game where you put birds in their respective environments, and then you get like points per bird, and like if you get like resources like worms to put on them, you get like more points, and it's really fun.
Yeah, so this is a fun engine building game where you're like putting things down and they kind of have to work together. Is that maybe one of your favorite things about it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Wingspan is definitely a fantastic game.
It's just like figuring out what you need to do to get the birds like where you need them. It's like my favorite part.
Okay, awesome. Good deal. So that's our number 5s, Nanty Narking and Wingspan. Let's look at number 4.
So kicking things off with the number 4, I have Bunny Kingdom, which you put your bunnies on these. You like have your cards and you play them, and it tells you where to put your bunny. And then you'll also have some cards that just give you like a flat out advantage or like a secret goal that you're trying to get that will get you more points at the end of the game.
Yeah, so card drafting along with some area control. All the little bunnies going out on the board. That's really fun, isn't it?
Yeah, and like making like the bigger your quadrant, the more points you get.
Yeah, but how do you score most of your points when you're playing?
My cards.
Yeah, she goes for the in-game point cards. She'll go from like being way distant third place to winning the game,
or
with
maybe
her.
Like second.
Or second.
Yeah.
But yeah, she does really good with those in-game points. My number 4 is one that you played before me, and that's Underwater Cities. Underwater Cities is it's a worker placement and kind of an engine building game. This one's designed by Vladimir Suki. And it is a fantastic little game where you've got your player board in front of you and you're putting these little cities out on these little bubbles, and you're building different parts of the city that are going to do things like get you different resources, and there's these income rounds where you just get all of these resources. So you'll be running really low on everything. Like you'll have run out of all of your different resources, and then this income round comes where you get all this stuff just flooded into you.
A bunch of like crazy resources. My favorite thing about that is because like you each have like our own player board, but then there's like the big board where like everyone like puts their tiles down and stuff. And it's just like fun to like try to mess up like the other person or the other people that you're playing with, because it makes them mad, and like that's my favorite thing to do in board games, to make other people mad when it makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely, she definitely likes to mess other people up when she's playing. But yeah, this she played this for the first time at a convention, and it was probably, 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was at Tennessee Game Days in Nashville.
Yes, yeah, it was. It was at a Tennessee Game Days in Nashville, and she played this one before me. But I kind of sat down with her because it seemed like a pretty heavy game. And all through the first round, she was saying, "Dad, you can go away. I've got this. I've got this." And she did. She did a great job.
I ended up winning.
I don't know about that.
Maybe second.
I don't know about that, but okay. But it's a great game if you want to check it out. Underwater Cities, and that's our number 4s. All right, my number 3 is my favorite game from Garfield Games, and that is Paladins of the West Kingdom. Now, this is a super heavy, really crunchy game. It can take a while if you're playing with more than 2 players, so I really like to just play this one with just one other person, and I mainly play it with my wife. But it's a great game where you're just trying to stretch out and do as many actions as you can during a round. And so at the first of the round, you'll get a few workers, and you'll have a paladin that gives you kind of a special power, and then you're putting down those workers in different parts on the player board to try to do different actions that are going to bump you up on these 3 different tracks. And then depending on where you are on those tracks, it lets you do more actions and different actions. You get more workers if you place things in different places and things like that. And you're just really trying to stretch things out as much as you can. So this is really, it's really deep. There's a lot of strategy here. You can't really do everything, so you kind of have to pick something at the first of the game and focus on that. And I love games that do that, where you kind of have to focus on this one thing and try to do it as good as you can during this game so you can beat somebody.
I haven't played Paladins with him yet, but I have played a game by the same designer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by the same designer. And it was really fun.
In the same trilogy. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if we see it. Spoilers. But, all right. Well, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Silver Dagger, which I also played the first time at a board game convention. I think probably most of these games on my list. But you get your own little town, and then you can mess with other people and put zombies in their town, or put things that cause them a lot of zombies, and your goal is the least amount of zombies. So once again, I like those games where you can really mess up your opponent so it makes you do better.
Yeah. There we are. It's going to be a running theme, I guess. But yeah, Dagger, it's kind of it's kind of a hidden character kind of thing because everybody's cards are face down. And there's times when you don't even know which characters are in front of you, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually somebody has to kind of call for what's called a vote because it's kind of set in the werewolf universe.
Yeah.
And then you're going to count up and see who has the least number of points.
Yeah.
And
then if you call the vote and you have the least amount of werewolves, you get 0 werewolves. But if you call the vote and you don't have the least amount of werewolves, I think you get whatever your number is plus maybe 50 or 100. I can't remember. It's something like that.
Yeah, I'm horrible at this game. I'm
and
terrible
I'm good
at it. She's good at it. and yeah, so there you go.
Like the rest of the games on my list.
There we are. Spoilers again. All right. So let's go on to number 2.
So my number 2 game is Shards of Infinity, which is really fun. He taught it to me. It's where you have your character and you're trying to get the other person out of their health, which I'm really good at. But there's multiple characters you can choose from, and something really fun that an expansion adds is it will have villains, which if one comes up and you or your opponents don't kill it on your first turn, then it has a penalty that they both lose. And once someone beats it, there's a reward on it which you gain. Something I really like about this game is how everyone as the game comes on, you can kind of catch on to what their strategy is.
Okay.
There's cards that gain extra health or extra mastery or both, or extra crystals, so you can buy cards. And I'm really good at getting the extra health cards, and I'll have cards that have multiple things on them. So it will be gain 5 health, and if you played another card of this type, your opponent loses like 8 damage. So a lot of the times we'll end the game and I'll be at like 45 or 50, which you start with 50 health, and he'll be at like 0.
0. I never win this game. I never win it. I never win it. So, yeah, this is a deck building game. And so if you like any deck building games like Star Realms or Dominion or anything else where you're purchasing cards from a market, you should really give this one a try. There was a Kickstarter this past summer, and like I don't back Kickstarters. That's not really something I do. But when we saw it, and she said with the expansions, we have all the expansions for it. So when we saw this, and then it came with all the expansions, and then it also came with some extra stuff, we figured we'd go ahead and grab that because it's something that we know we really like. My number 2 is Viticulture Essential Edition. This was one of the first games that I had in my collection, and it's probably one of the games that I played the most with my wife. And you've played it, I think, one time.
I think maybe? I might have played it at one of the conventions we've gone to.
Maybe so, yeah. But this is a worker placement game where you're putting workers out to do things like plant your vineyards, and then from those vineyards you're going to gather some grapes, then you're going to make some wine, and you're going to fulfill some orders. So the flow of the game is actually really easy to understand. It's really easy to explain to people kind of what's going on in it and what you're supposed to be doing. It's very easy to kind of understand the goal of what's happening. But then it's got, just because of that worker placement aspect to it, it makes things like turn order very important because not everybody can go to the same space. So maybe you'll come to like a season where you needed to do a certain action, but that space is already taken and you can't do it.
And that's one of the most frustrating things is in a game when you can't do what you need to do.
But you like doing it so that other people can't. So there's that. Sometimes turnabout's fair play. So Viticulture is a fantastically fun game. Like I said, it's one of my most played games with my wife, and we really enjoy just sitting down. Even after so many times of playing it, it was my number 1 for a long time. I don't see it ever not being my number 2. I really like it.
So my number 1 game of all time, I don't think there's ever been a time where this hasn't been my favorite game.
Okay.
And it's Architects of the West Kingdom. In this game, it's worker placement, and you go to these different areas, and like one has like workers, and then like one has and then all these others have like materials, and then like virtue and like point. And something I really like about it is the prisoner space.
Of course.
So we each have our card, and then my favorite place to go to is the prisoner space. And for each person you put down in the spot to get prisoners, you can go to one like spot and gather like one player's people and put them like on your sheet. And I just like love it because then it like messes them up, which is, like I said, my favorite thing to do, because it just satisfies me. I don't know why.
It's not so much fun for her to win. She just wants to make you lose.
Yeah.
If she can, if she doesn't win by making you lose, she doesn't care. She wants to win by making you lose.
Yeah, but it's really just, I also don't think it's really that complicated to learn too.
Oh, that's true.
So, and then, like, you can go put them in the guardhouse, and it, like, gets you a bunch of coins, and then you can just, like, keep going and do it, like, over and over again.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing, is that whenever you put a worker somewhere, the more workers you have on that space,
the more time you can, like, the more it gets you.
Yeah, the more stuff you get.
Fun.
Super
so, like,
cool.
I think, like, the second time you put a person on, like, the spot to go get prisoners, I think you can get, like, groups from, like, 2 places.
Yeah.
So, it's super fun when someone has, like, just, like, this big group of people that's, like, 10 or 15 of, like, the meeple things, and then you can just put your thing on that spot and go get them all, and it gets you, like, so many coins. I just, like, love it.
Yeah. The goal of the game is to build buildings in the cathedral. You might not know that from this synopsis, but the goal of the game is to get the most points by building the cathedral and houses. The prison thing happens too. All right. Well, that brings us to my number one. And my number one is by my favorite designer, Martin Wallace, and that is Brass Birmingham. I absolutely love Brass Birmingham.
He also loves Martin Wallace.
I do. I absolutely. Now, my love for Martin Wallace actually came from Brass Lancashire, believe it or not, because I'd gone to a friend's house and he taught me Brass Lancashire. And the first time that I turned a coal tile over and bumped my income up, I was absolutely hooked by that. And I said, well, who designs this? And he said, Martin Wallace. And I was like, Martin Wallace, I recognize that name. And I came home and looked, and he had also designed Wildlands. And I was like, how in the world did the same person design Wildlands, which is a skirmish game where you're running around the map and knocking other people out and gathering gems and doing stuff like that. And then he also made this game about the Industrial Revolution, like really like two sides of the spectrum there. But he did. He designed both those, and Brass Lancashire was further developed into Brass Birmingham. I love Brass Birmingham. It plays fantastic with two players. It got rid of some of the stuff that I really didn't dig about Brass Lancashire, and really kind of streamlined things. And it's a really fun game. I want to teach it to you sometime.
He has so many games in his collection that are Martin Wallace.
This right up here.
Like,
that whole shelf right there is Martin Wallace. Whole
It's
top shelf's Martin Wallace.
Lot.
That's right.
That's
right.
The first game that he taught me that was Martin Wallace was Steam.
Yep.
It was at a convention.
Oh yeah.
And one of the people I was playing with was like a big talker.
Mm-hmm.
Which sometimes you're at a convention and you play with a big talker, it can like expand the game.
Slows things down a bit.
It like slow things. Yeah. But
all right. Speaking of big talkers, that's kind of it for us. We're done talking. Anything else you want to say?
No.
I'm Brent Shepard.
I'm Micaela Shepard.
All right, and I'm a more middle-class board gamer, and we'll see you next time.